Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going over shipping with eBay, the full guide to flipping. But honestly, even if you're doing a business, or even if this isn't a business and you just want to sell things on eBay, this will also be useful to you. Let's get right into it. When you start on eBay, a new account can only have 10 items per month listed. So the goal initially shouldn't be to make a whole bunch of money. Your goal should be to put things up, get them sold, get them delivered to the customer as soon as possible. When you start off, you won't actually get the money until the customer does receive the item and there's no issues with it. So that's something to keep in mind. You want to list items with a high sell-through rate for this reason. That way you can sell things faster and get your credibility on your account up, which will then allow you to post more items. Luckily, the way that eBay works, it's very exponential. So initially it's only 10 items. The second month, probably 20. The second month, 40. It doesn't double every time, but it does increase substantially the more items you get. A good goal to shoot for is having 5 to 10 items listed per day. Obviously, you can't do this right whenever you start selling because you only have 10 items per month you can list. But the more items, the more things you post on your account, the more eBay is going to show all of your listings to people. So if you post 100 things one day and you don't post again for a month, you're not going to make as many sales as if you were to post 50 things and then post 5 things or a few things every single day. That'll help slowly give you more and more views and more consistent traffic to your store. So 5 to 10 items is a good goal, but honestly, the more the better. Number 2, you want honest listings. So eBay will side with the customer almost every single time, whatever happens. Obviously, if the customer screws you over, and there's a few exceptions to it, but more than not, the eBay will side with the customer, which you got to respect and understand is their business. The customer is the reason why they're making the money in the first place. I mean, so are the sellers, but customers more so. So for this reason, you want to be honest and upfront about your listings, because if you're not and they want to return it, they're probably going to be able to return it, or you can not accept the return, but then eBay will just pull the money from your account, not from your bank account directly. Well, they will if you have it linked, but usually you'll just take it off of whatever is in your balance that's ready to be sent to you. And if you're on a new account, then you won't even get the money because a new account, they're going to wait. Number 2 is bad reputation equals less sales as well as higher fees. Returns, they're expensive. You got to pay shipping. You got to pay shipping there and back. And it's just a headache. You don't want to deal with it. It's more accounting for you. You have to list things that you sold, and then you return them, and then you put it back as still listed. Then you have, extra expenses for the shipping fees and all kinds of stuff. Good service is going to give you a higher chance of a repeat customer, which everybody wants. The more repeat customers, the more money you make. Building, bundling. Number 3. So bundling, good to get rid of junk, bad to maximize profits. So what I do, my principle that I've used, I've kind of changed this over the years, but now what I do is, say I get a bundle of PlayStation 4 games, and 5 of the games are really crappy games. They're only worth $2, $3 each. The other 5 games are really good. They're worth $5 to $10, $15, $20, $30 each. I will take all the expensive games and list them individually, and then the crappy games, I will put it into a bundle with the system and sell that as a package. And that will help me get rid of the old items, and that will also give customers another reason to buy my product because they're getting more games. And I'll usually price it around the same thing as what other people are pricing it, around the same price that I would have priced it even if the games weren't included. So that's usually a good way to get rid of junk, and also give another incentive for people to buy your items rather than somebody else's. Number 4 is false sale. So eBay is strict on mistakes. Higher fees, possible lifetime ban. So if you post an item and you sell it in person, or you lose it, or you break it, or whatever the case may be, and you have to cancel the order, I think it's like if you do that twice within a 1-year period, instantly you have 0 chance of being a top rated seller. And if you do that like 5 times, then you're in a lower, I forget the name, but it's a lower level, a low standing in eBay, which will then increase the amount of fees you have in your account. And then if you get even worse with that and you don't fix it and that problem continues, you can receive a lifetime ban on eBay. So if you do mess up, this is something that is probably, like kind of gray area. You probably shouldn't do this, but if you do mess up, don't cancel it for the reason saying that you lost it or it's out of stock, because it will show up on your account and you can't remove it from your account for a year. Or if your account switches to a 3-month period of analysis, then 3 months, but that will probably take you 2 years to get. So be very careful. Try just not to have any issues with selling items in person. If you sell something in person, then remove it from your eBay store right away. If you lose it, remove it. Things do happen, but ideally you don't have too many false sales. Or you also could mark it as shipped and then later refund the person later in the day. Again, it's not something you should do, but it's going to prevent eBay from seeing that your account seeing that you're a bad seller and restricting your account and causing you higher fees. Number 5 is local sale. So don't try to negotiate with people and sell locally. You may get banned. It's not worth it. eBay has fees, 10 to 15%, depending on your item, depending on your account. Actually, it could go up to 20%. Don't try and sell locally. Some people will ask you, like, hey, can I pick it up locally? And you could get them to message you, text you, email you, whatever it is, to try and facilitate that sale. But it's not in your best interest. If you do get banned and eBay sees it somehow, I'm sure they have AI bots that check, then you're screwed and you're banned. And I don't think you can get unbanned from eBay. I think once you're banned for life. So number 6, shipping materials. So you want to kind of shop around and see where the best deals are going to be to get materials. But Walmart is really good for things like bubble wrap, tape, Facebook Marketplace. I found a lot of free boxes on there. You can drive around on garbage day, recycling day, same thing to get boxes. Stein Express, if you live in Canada, is really good for envelopes and even tape, bubble wrap as well. They sell everything at Stallion, and they usually do it in pretty good prices. A tape gun I found to be very useful. Again, bubble wrap and packing paper is usually better than bubble wrap. Cost-wise, it's way better. In terms of actual protection of items, it's maybe not as good, but you could use a mixture of the two. I found bubble wrap is pretty expensive, so if you use a little bubble wrap and then a lot of packing paper is super cheap. You can even use newspaper. So number 7 is going to be top rated. You want to get top rated, should be your number 1 goal. You want to get that as soon as possible. I mean, maybe your number 1 goal should be to make profit, but second to that, your number 1 goal, at least on eBay, should be to get top rated. The reason for that is because you get lower fees, higher views, and higher reputation on eBay. When people see that you have a badge that says top rated, which will be on the side of all of your listings, that'll be a extra benefit to you compared to other people in the listings who don't have that. People are going to see that, and they're going to be even willing to pay a little bit more money on your items because you have a high reputation, so they have more comfort and more security from buying from you. To do this, you want to ship out as soon as possible. You want to reply to customer concerns as soon as possible, and you don't want to sell broken items unless you list them as broken and you're very clear about that. And always call eBay or make action or on returns and refunds before eBay steps in. So this is probably the biggest thing, and this is a problem that I initially had because I had shipped out a few items to people and they opened up a case saying that they didn't get the item, but I know I had sent it, and I know that it was just going to be late because the shipping company I used, for whatever reason, was late with that. So I messaged them and I said, hey, can we just wait a couple days to make sure to see if you get it? And this happened with like 3 or 4 different people. We waited. The person didn't respond on most of them. And then what I didn't realize is that after 4 days, eBay will just automatically step in and send the customer all of the money. So I was like, well, this is not good. And I was a little bit upset about that, but I didn't mind too much because I was like, whatever, I'm only at, 20, 30, 40 bucks per item, whatever it is. But the bigger issue was that each one of those resulted in a negative defect on my account. And if you want to be top rated seller, you can't have any of those. Or maybe you can have one. I think you got to have under 0.33% of all of your sales can have an issue with not responding on time in terms of a return or a refund, which is not a lot. So I think that's like, almost 300 items. One of every 300 items you can have a mess up on. So at this time I just started selling, so I didn't have that many sales. And then I had this 3 or 4 times happen in a row because I thought, I'll just wait. Like, I'm sure the person's gonna get the item. They probably did get the item, but it was just late. So don't do that. Don't make that same mistake. That ruined my eBay account for about a year. I don't think it went away for about a year. And I wasn't able to get top rated on that account for a year. So you don't want to do that. If there is an issue, your best bet is always to call eBay, like I said. Now, there will be other times where I had things, for example, I posted an Xbox 360 and I said that it was broken and that there was no hard drive in it, but I put it in the description. I wasn't clear about it in the title. And somebody on eBay bought it, received it, and they weren't happy with it. They were like, hey, I thought this was working. And we had a dispute. They opened it up. I called eBay. And I think eBay, no, in this situation, eBay sided with me. But there was another one, I forget what it was. Something happened, and eBay essentially sided with the customer. But I still made an attempt to talk to eBay and try and figure it out. And so I told eBay this, and then afterwards, whenever the defect was on my account, I called them up, I explained the situation, and they were able to then remove it from my account. So I had to do this a couple times. There's been multiple times where I've had to call eBay and figure things out. It's just a part of the business. It's not that fun. You got to call them and you got to figure things out, but it is what it is. Just be sure that you are taking care of your account. You don't want to have any issues. The better your account, the more money you're going to make, the more sales you're going to make, and the better reputation you're going to have. So the last part, this is only going to apply to you if you live in Canada, because I live in Canada and this is how I've shipped things out. But shipping, there's 3 main categories that you want to select when you're shipping. So Stallion Express I use for big items in Canada and the USA. Oftentimes it's actually cheaper for me to ship to the USA with bigger items than it is in Canada. Canada Post is amazing for small and cheap video games and small items in general, but there's no tracking or insurance. So for that reason, I don't send anything over $40. Most of the things that I send via Canada Post get to the customer with no problems. This is another opportunity for scammers to scam you, because if you are selling something and you're not putting tracking on it, you send it to the customer and they call up eBay and say, hey, I didn't get it. You don't have tracking. You can't confirm it. eBay will automatically side with the customer and give them their money back. So there's risk with it, but that's why, again, I only do it for items under $40. I used to do $30, but I found that I just had very, very little amount of issues with this. I bumped up to 40 and continue to not have issues, or not many issues. Buy stamps in bulk for a discount. I think they're $96 for 100 stamps at Canada Post. Cards via Canada Post. Canada, it works great. You can use a plastic cover. You can use a sleeve on it. But in the USA, if you're going to send a card, you can send a card via Canada Post if it's very thin, but you can't use any plastic or else it'll be returned. So even if it's a very thin plastic sleeve over top of the card, they'll just return the card to you and it won't go to the States. Just something I've found over the years. I tried multiple times, and every single time they sent it back. So I would just put cardboard, very, very thin cardboard on the top and bottom of the cards. And same thing with these. I would only send it if it was a very cheap card, under 20, 30 bucks. And last one is eBay. This is as of recent. This is kind of new because Stallion used to be really good for everything USA. But what I found recently is that eBay is now better for small items to USA. So if it's a small, for example, a video game, sending it to the States, it's around $7.25. It fluctuates from like 7 to around 8. Also depends on the weight and the size of the video game, but on average around $7. And this is good for small things to the United States. It's going to be the cheaper option than Stallion, and much, much cheaper than Canada Post. So that is it. Those are all of the tips to shipping. I mean, honestly, if you guys have any more questions, you can leave them in the comments, and I will try my best to get back to them and answer all the questions. But it's not too bad. I guess one other thing that I didn't mention is that you want to, make sure that the items that you're sending are secured well. You pack them up with bubble wrap and tape and good quality boxes so that your items just don't get damaged while they're being shipped. But overall, it's not too complex, and it definitely will make you stand out from other people who are flipping, because most people are too lazy to actually ship online. So if you can be that person who ships online, you're gonna get rewarded for it. So that's about it for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.